I'm Deuce Mason alongside Morgan Reagan. We are recording this on a Wednesday night after the Sacramento Kings put up a season-high 142 points and beat the Orlando Magic 142-130. Sacramento has won 3 in a row all of a sudden. Morgan Reagan, how are you?
First time this season, Deuce. First time this season. I'm good. You gotta take a W, however you have to take a W. But obviously, sometimes when you take a W, there's still things not fun about it at times.
Yeah, and we can get into all of that.
Okay.
So our first thoughts presented as always by our friends over at Guaranteed Rate and Rate.com/Sean Stanfield. So yes, a lot to like with the Kings win. But one of the things that I first noticed, and I know you noticed, and Alvin Gentry noticed, was the defense. I think Gentry called it one of the worst defensive games he has ever seen in his career, which is saying something because I think he actually coached Dr. James Naismith back in the day, I think. So, like, that says a lot.
He ain't that old.
Okay.
Get out.
Anyway, but we can talk about that in a second. The good tonight, the defense was not that. But the Kings' offense looked really good tonight, and why I got excited about it was because it was De'Aaron Fox. I thought set the tone early. First play of the game. Who was the guy that attacked, got a good look, knocked down his first shot of the night? It was De'Aaron Fox, and he played aggressive. I thought even in the second half, he came out more aggressive, attacking, playing physical. His handles looked fantastic. He was able to create space, had a little step back from the mid-range. He had an efficient night, but it wasn't just because he was making shots. I just liked his approach. And that was a big thing for me. I thought De'Aaron looked good, and he looked like the guy that we saw a lot last year.
I'm with you. It was the way that he was mixing it up. His first shot of the game was a mid-range shot, right? And it looked good. It looked in rhythm. But then also the way that he was going at the basket and finishing at the rim, it looked in control, but still that crafty De'Aaron Fox that we have seen create in the paint before. And I like seeing that efficiency, that consistency too from him throughout the entire game and not just in one half.
He had 33 points in the game. He also was 7 of 8 from the free throw line, which was a great sign, right? He was 12 of 18 shooting, 2 of 2 from 3. So he didn't go too crazy shooting threes. I just thought it was good. Look, Orlando's not a great team. They've got 5 wins on the season. We'll get into the things that have to get better, but the reality is if you're Sacramento, you have to win games like tonight. Like these are especially at home when you haven't played well on the home floor, these are the games you got to just take care of business, and it doesn't matter what it looks like, just find a way to win.
Yep, that's 100%. Winning by 12 points, it didn't matter. And what was so great, too, it didn't end up in that fashion where it's like, oh, no, this is a nail biter at the end, where you're just frustrated and they start turning over everything. And
it did get down to 7 at one point.
It did get down to 7, but it still didn't. It felt like the Kings were still in control. That was the difference between what we've seen before compared to what we've seen now. And there was still a lot of not good things. I think when Kenny and I got to talk to De'Aaron after the game, and he didn't seem satisfied. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with him not feeling satisfied as a team because there's a lot of things that still didn't go right. But one thing that we both really did like was the way that they did take care of the ball. Only 8 turnovers on the night, which, again, really good for this Kings team that we've seen do a really bad job with just attention to detail in the beginning of the season.
I feel like we keep talking about it, and we might as well just address it now. And I think we're both, and this is kind of goes back to the theme of things we've said earlier in the year. Okay, you don't accept in victory what you wouldn't accept in defeat.
Thank you.
And the 130 points tonight, it's a ton of points to give up in general. It's a ton of points to give up against an Orlando Magic team that came into tonight 28th in scoring in the league. And I believe their season high in points this year came last week against the Houston Rockets, right around 116, I believe.
Yep.
116 points. So they surpassed that, and they shot 50%. We watched this team on Monday night. We were in San Francisco watching them play the Warriors, and it was like, God, this team can't really score. Well, they were 16 of 34 from three-point land. I thought Cole Anthony looked awesome tonight.
Which we knew, and he's capable of playing like that. It just sucks when he plays like that against the Sacramento Kings and you don't make those adjustments on him, right?
He had 33 points, 8 assists. He had 6 3-pointers. I thought, especially in that first half, just Sacramento, I didn't feel like the offensive pressure was on. I mean, the defensive pressure was on. They were not, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a mentality thing, what it is. You just have to be better. And it's not, I'm not taking anything away from Cole Anthony. He's averaging 20 points a game this year. He could score the ball. He's had big games this season, but you can't just allow guys to do their thing. And that's where I get frustrated watching the Kings defense at some points, because I'm like, I know you're capable of playing better defense. I'm not saying you're going to be like a lockdown defensive team, but it's got to be better than what we saw. They gave up a 36-point quarter, a 31-point quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, a 38-point quarter toward the Magic.
That was the third quarter?
No, the fourth
quarter was the 38-point
yes.
quarter. Okay, I was like, wait, I thought they played better in the third. Yeah, so
did.
Yes, that was that. Yeah, you look at those numbers alone, you'd be like, oh, that's really bad. But even without those numbers, if you were just watching and didn't have those numbers in front of you, you could still see what the problems were. And it felt like this Kings perimeter defense was not putting enough aggressive pressure on everyone on the outside and was just relying on their second line of defense too, right? It was the way that guys could run things in the paint in control and then create for someone on the outside. It just was too easy at points. So then they were just swapping baskets back and forth because, the Kings offense we've seen play at a high level and they were playing pretty good and in rhythm tonight. So they were doing good things against the Magic defense, but not being able to get the stops that they needed defensively and not putting the pressure on guys that were just hitting threes left and right on them. Yeah, that's paying attention to details and really remaining engaged on that end of the floor.
I mentioned Cole Anthony. He had some really nice moments in this one. Terrence Ross started to get it going, and he's a guy that can get buckets. I was worried about him. Franz Wagner looked pretty good for Orlando tonight. The rookie, 19.6 rebounds, 4 assists. The offensive numbers for both teams were pretty outrageous in this one. So, yeah, for Sacramento, you got to clean it up defensively. I think for me, why that was so disappointing from a defensive standpoint was the fact that they had a few days off here. They just came off a game in which they held the Clippers under 100 points. You have a few days to clean some things up, get some rest, get some practice time, and the defense just wasn't good tonight. So it's got to get better. We know this, but the end result is you saw some offensive firepower. And I think the one thing we thought about this team going into the season was, hey, they're going to be able to score. Can they be a little better defensively? Scoring at times has been an issue for this team. They missed so many shots early on. You look at the Kings starting lineup tonight, we saw a different starting lineup. Harrison Barnes returns after a 5-game absence, and you're wondering, okay, does Mo Harkless get back in there too? He was available to play. He did not end up playing in this game tonight. Gentry decides to go with a 3-guard lineup with Fox, Halliburton, Terrence Davis, Harrison Barnes, and Richaun Holmes.
I liked it. I thought it was good with the way that they wanted to continue that with Terrence Davis and keep his confidence up and flowing. And
another good night for him.
And another good night for TD.
6 of 11 shooting for him. He had 16 points in the starting lineup.
I mean, just being efficient and just, I love that he's executing on these minutes now. And what's cool about this too, Deuce, is that it's been consistent now for 3 games. We're getting a little bit bigger of a sample size each game. Okay, what he's capable of. And I think teams aren't taking him seriously because of what they saw from him in the beginning of the season, So it's like they know what he's capable of, but at the same time, they're not worrying about that. And they're worrying about a guy like sometimes Buddy Hield, who is, not even knocking down a 3. Well, 1 3, but.
Buddy Hield tonight. Because Morgan, of course, wants to hit on the bad parts early, I guess. Because we talked about the defense. I'm talking about some good things. So Morgan wants to bring up Buddy Hield, who tonight was.
Then don't talk about it yet.
Well, we're going there.
Okay.
Buddy Hield played 17 and a half minutes tonight.
Uh-huh.
Got up 13 shots. He was 2 of 13. He was 1 of 10 from 3. Not all of his threes were bad. The one he hit, I noted it because I was like, oh, wow. That was a catch and shoot opportunity that was created for him. Some other ones, it felt like we're forcing it. He did have some wide open looks. He just missed. He missed a mid-range shot. It just he had an off night, but he's also stringing together some games right now. If just looking at the numbers, looking at his last few games, Morgan, going back to the Lakers game, He was 3 of 13 from 3 in that game. The next game against Memphis, 1 of 9, 1 of 6. Against the Clippers, 0 for 3, and then 1 for 5. So the shooting numbers have dramatically dipped off for Buddy.
And
so have the minutes. He only played 17 minutes tonight.
Right. And what I noticed with some of his 3-point shots taken, like there would be times where we've talked about this before, where he doesn't create for others and doesn't set a screen. He just slips, whatever. But with the fundamentals of his shot, it was like, oh, I have 2 seconds of open space, so I'm going to chuck this one up, whether I have everything in rhythm and motion to go and get it or not, it's going to leave my hands. And whether he gets that green light or he is told behind the scenes, like, these are your incentives if you take and make this many threes, I don't know what it is sometimes, because that's just truly what it feels like. They're not the best decisions. They don't look good and they don't work for the team. And what I do like, though, is that you're seeing him play less minutes, whether it's because of that or not.
And I think tonight was tough for him the last few nights too. I mean, I just want, if you're not able to knock down your shots, which is going to happen sometimes as a shooter, okay, it's just going to happen. And you're right on the shot selection stuff. I just want him to find other ways to impact the game in his 17 minutes. If you can find a way to get up 13 shots, well, can you get more than 1 rebound when you're out there too? Like,
absolutely,
those are the things. And maybe he's just in a funk right now. I don't know, but it is the shot selection tonight. I just thought was not very good from him.
No,
and he's got to stay engaged and take the right looks, especially right now with like the way the game was today. I felt like the ball was moving around a lot.
Absolutely.
I felt like Halliburton really was setting the tone with the ball movement. He had a season high in assists tonight. He had 11. I just want to see the extra pass. I want to see it. And, like, we'll create looks for you, buddy. You don't have to just jack it up. It's the same thing we talked about with Metu a couple games ago, where it was like every time he touched the ball, he shot it.
I said this last year. I said, trust your teammates. You got to trust your teammates. And you have teammates who are going to find you, who are going to look for you. But if you don't trust them, they're not going to trust you either, because it's going to be hard just knowing every time that they work their ass off on the defensive end and get back down the court that you're going to chalk the ball up. What kind of basketball is that? What kind of game? That's just not fun to play. And so we've seen Buddy do that. At least, though, he is getting shorter leash. So he's getting, whether it's bench for that reason or for defensive reasons, whatever it is, you're seeing less time for him when he is just chucking up a whole bunch of shots.
Well, I think his leash may be getting shorter, not only because he's struggling a bit, but it's also like Gentry said that, one of his first games after the Kings' first time they got a win with him was like, it takes a village. And if Terrence Davis is knocking down shots and Buddy's not, well, Terrence Davis is going to play more minutes. If Davion Mitchell tonight is knocking down shots, he's going to get playing time in the rotation, and Buddy's not. And because those guys are going to do a little more right out there, especially when they're knocking down shots. It's like, oh, you want to keep those guys out there. I mentioned Davis. Davion Mitchell tonight I thought was great. He had 18 points. He had 4 assists. I know some people in the chat are commenting about this. Yes, the dogs are in the background. You can hear them throwing stuff around. Anyway, Davion Mitchell tonight I thought was great. Getting the mid-range looks, he was really good.
He, at times, just looks so dominant on the offensive end, and that's something we haven't seen consistently this year. Let's remember, he is a rookie, so you're not going to see that at times when teams start to figure him out and understand and make their adjustments that they need to make after watching game film on him. But he did such a good job of mixing it up and really be understanding, like, I can juke a guy one way, use my ball handling skills, and have this nice little mid-range or have this step-back 3. And he was willing to do so much more. There was this confidence with the way that he was playing tonight. Loved seeing that from him off the bench.
Yeah, composure. Like, he wasn't forcing anything.
Yeah.
It was just, I feel like, I don't know how to describe it. It seems like he just has complete control at times when he's out there, like getting to his spots, getting a shot. And maybe it was also the product of Orlando just being a crappy team, so it looked just extra easy for him tonight, which is possible. But it looked good. And he had that one play on Terrence Ross where...
Was that the step-back 3?
The step-back 3.
Yeah.
shook him.
He seemed empowered. That's what it seemed like, empowered by his teammates, empowered by his coach. And that flow and that confidence felt like it was just contagious for everyone tonight. But I love seeing that from some of your main guys on this Kings roster, because I really do believe that's what takes it to a whole nother level.
The Kings had 7 players in double figures tonight. We mentioned Barnes, who returned. He had 16 points in just under 30 minutes, also 5 rebounds in that stretch. Tyrese Halliburton's the next guy I want to bring up. He had 18 points. He had 11 assists, a nice third quarter. He was 6 of 9 shooting in the game, 5 of 6 from 3. We've talked about it. An aggressive Tyrese is a good Tyrese. It's one that he always wants to get his teammates involved. G-Man interviewed him post-game, and G-Man asked, you have these stats. Which one is your favorite? And he said, got to be honest, first thing, my rebounding has to be better. I got to get more rebounds. That's what he said. And then he said, the next one is assists. I just love sharing the ball. It's fun to get my teammates involved. He truly loves doing that, and that's great. I love that he did that, but I also love that he was aggressive looking for his shots. And he's playing some nice basketball.
He is. And when he plays more of a complete game like this, we talked about this at yesterday's podcast. It's what they need to see from him. It's what they need to see his growth become, just that confident, good player that can do so much more on the squad. But doing so much more is taking more shots. And seeing that confidence from him tonight, but also understanding that his vision, his facilitating capabilities are so important to this team that needs it more than anyone else can actually give on this squad is incredible.
The one thing that surprised me, and I'm not a big fan of throwing these lobs. I felt like sometimes, his lobs to Richaun, to Metu, I like those, to Bagley, yes. I'm always a little nervous, like last year when he was throwing them to Whiteside, because Whiteside can barely jump over a penny. And Tristan is not exactly a lob threat, but tonight, Tristan Thompson with a big lob, dunked it, gets teed up for talking shit. I like that. It was cool to see him get it going. And I guess to that next point, did you have something else?
Yeah, just really quick, my favorite part of that whole moment when Tristan Thompson got teed up, but then he was like, whatever, kind of pumped up and then started clapping to the crowd. The crowd just got so loud.
Gave him a standing ovation.
And I dug it. I needed that energy from this crowd. That was cool.
He didn't play in the first half. He came in the second half. Well, he came in once. Oh, he did play in the first half, right? Because that's when Richaun Holmes got anyway, Richaun Holmes got hurt in this game. And that's actually another kind of topic tonight is Richaun leaves the game. He plays just 10 minutes. He had a sweet play, too, where he fouled his own shot with a putback jam, but then he gets hit in the eye again. He leaves the game. The Kings just call it a right eye injury at this point. After the game, I actually got some video of him leaving the court. He was walking, and it may be tough for those people to see, but for the audio listeners, he's got some sort of bandage on that eye. So it looks like a huge thing of gauze all over his right eye there. So who knows what his status is going to be going forward, but he's already missed games from getting hit in the face. Maybe he's going to have to wear goggles.
Yeah, his mother wants him to wear goggles.
Okay.
We talked about in the post-game show because she tweeted out saying something like, gotta get him goggles. And maybe if that's something that starts happening to you a lot, sure. But at the same time, it just sucks because the game that we just saw last time from him, I think he only had 1 point in that game. So I was hoping he would redeem himself tonight. And instead, it's just one of those weird accidents, weird injuries, blood rushing down his face, blood everywhere. So
okay, there was not blood everywhere. You're acting as if he was stone cold in that match against Bret Hart when Bret's got him in the sharpshooter and then Austin's got, wait, it's right. The picture's in the background, actually, a little bit. There's blood, the crimson mask of Austin. Austin's bleeding everywhere. Oh, my God. That was not Richaun Holmes tonight, but there was definitely blood.
You should add that audio underneath the...
Okay. So that was in the second quarter. Then Tristan Thompson came in. We got to talk about Tristan Thompson for a second.
Okay.
Because we mentioned that play. Tristan Thompson, great energy tonight. Fantastic energy.
Great energy tonight. It's just so weird.
He had 14 points, 10 rebounds, 6 of 11 shooting, 6 offensive rebounds. He gave him energy. And you mentioned he got the crowd into it. He's talking shit. He even said, I don't care about the technical. They caught him saying that on TV. I like the energy he brought.
He
Look,
seemed more in control too.
small doses, and he ended up playing 20 minutes tonight. I like him in small doses
There you
for
go.
sure. I'm not proclaiming him as that's a guy, but I'm just talking about from an emotional standpoint. I think the guys like him in the locker room.
Yeah.
He brings kind of an edge and a toughness and talks. I think that's a good thing.
Well, that's something we talked about since the day that we heard that Tristan Thompson was coming to this team, right? Is that veteran leadership, that energy. And then, once he started talking in the locker room, and then he had that post-game presser where, he's showing all this inspiration and being motivational. And then you're seeing it more tonight translate on the court and people actually reacting from it and doing things off of it. So it was fun to see.
So good performance. I mean, when you've got 18 from Mitchell, Thompson gives you a double-double with 14 and 10. And the next guy, Marvin Bagley, played 20 minutes tonight.
Loved it.
If you notice, there's a theme tonight. I feel like there are a lot of, I think pretty much every player who played tonight played well with the exception of Buddy. Len, I think Len had some problems with Lopez.
Which was
surprised me because Robin Lopez, who doesn't really play, came in and dropped 11 points, 5 rebounds. And at one point, the Kings are throwing a double team at him. I'm like, what is happening right now? Did I miss something? This is Robin Lopez?
The revenge game. Robin Lopez revenge game
Oh, my
somehow.
God.
Somehow.
Anyway, but Bagley tonight, his first 10-minute stint, he comes in, first play, it's a Buddy Hield miss, gets an offensive rebound, puts it in, I think, or draws a foul. Just those energy plays. And I felt like I mentioned this last night, Chet. I'm not trying to act like everything's fixed with Marvin Bagley. But when he's been stepping on the floor recently, he's playing with the most control I think he's ever played with. He's playing within the flow of the offense. He's not forcing things. He looked good out there. And even defensively, again, he got switched on to RJ Hampton. Hampton drives on him. Bagley forces a miss. There were times last year when he played, and I always go back to that Golden State game where Wiseman was I'm like, wow, he looks like completely lost, no confidence. He looks really good right now, and he was productive in 20 minutes off the bench.
Yeah, in his first 4 minutes, that's when he had those 8 points, right? Just knocking down those threes, really stretching the floor and looking like a threat from three, which was nice. Again, when you're hitting those shots, it didn't seem fluky either for this Kings team, right? It was these shots were falling because of the flow of the offense, because of the way that they were passing the basketball and trusting one another. And Bagley was one of those guys buying in that, so his teammates trusted passing in the ball from the outside and knew that he wasn't just going to chuck it up whenever he could. He was trying to get the best shot on offense, and I loved seeing that from him tonight too.
I mentioned after last game, wouldn't mind if he was at the starting lineup at some point, increase his minutes. If he keeps playing this way, you want to reward the guy with some more minutes because he's helping them out there. Where I think in years past, he might have gotten the stats. It wasn't all the time where you went, oh, that helped the Kings stay in the game or help them win a game. And I think right now he's helping. When he's in there, he's been productive.
And he might even be one of those guys like Buddy where it's like, oh, he does better coming off the bench. We don't know that right now. Today, we can't really just be like, oh, that's a fact. He hasn't played enough in the NBA to really make that statement and be very confident in it. But that's just something I want to look at going forward. Is he going to be that guy no, he's better to be coming off the bench.
Let's see here. I noted a couple of things in the third quarter because I felt like it was pretty interesting. Tristan Thompson did get the start in the second half in place of Richaun Holmes. I thought the third quarter, that was kind of the difference in the game because the Kings come out, force a couple of turnovers. They got the lead to as many as 16 points. I wrote down a couple sequences. One, the Mo Bamba dunk. That was so good. Morgan texted me and just put Bamba.
No, Mo Bamba with lots of A's.
That was pretty nice.
That was really nice. And then you're like, what about Fox? What about Mitchell?
I mean, while you're texting me about Bamba, I got De'Aaron Fox driving it on the next possession and scoring right on him.
Yes, I got it. It was just a really cool dunk, and I was just like, oh.
So you had that play.
Yeah.
You had the after that Davion Mitchell step back that was nasty.
Yeah.
And then you had the Terrence Ross getting that second chance dunk and one nasty.
Was that a second chance dunk?
Yeah, it was off a miss, I believe, or the ball got to him from Bamba.
Nasty.
That was disgusting. So what was the best play of the night there?
Of those two dunks? Or of all
you got
four
the
of
Mitchell,
that
even the alley-oop to Tristan. The alley-oop to Tristan has to be up there because Tristan having an alley-oop jam is rare.
Yeah, but I really like the Davion step back. That was just nice. Like, he showed off his handles and that got him going one way. Step back. That was just clean.
It was pretty nice. In the fourth quarter, the Halliburton lob to Thompson made it 116-103. Here's my thing with the NBA, and I've said this before. If you have a nice dunk, you have a nice play, you should be able to talk a little shit after the play. And it's an emotional game. I don't understand this. I understand you want to avoid fights and stuff, but like Thompson dunked on somebody. You can talk a little smack. As long as he gets back and keeps playing, fine. If it becomes extended, tee him up. If not, let the guys play. If you do that, if you're growing up playing hoops,
I talk so much shit.
Yeah, even if you're just like at a park or something.
Yeah.
You're talking nonstop.
I couldn't handle myself. I think even people that are composed, you can't handle yourself when you're out at like the blacktop or at the park or something. How can you? And then you expect people on the basketball floor to just hold it on. Why? What? My question is, why is it going to start a commotion? Are people going to start fighting because of words? And if that's the case, well, then they need to sit on the bench or go home anyway. If you're going to let a few words get to you and start a physical altercation, get out.
Get out.
Get out.
All right, we're going to have more on this Kings upcoming road trip. They've won 3 in a row. We'll look at the standings in just a second. But first, we should mention that tonight's First Thoughts, presented as always by our friends over at Guaranteed Rates and rate.com/Sean Stanfield. Hey, Deuce Mo.
Oh.
Can I buy a house? Why are you asking us?
We don't know.
But you can ask Sean Stanfield.
Boom.
Hey, do you think I could refinance? Is it a good time? Don't ask us. Ask Sean Stanfield because he will tell you. Seriously, those are all questions that could be challenging. Like, I don't know if I could afford a house. How much can I afford? You want to talk to experts that know what they're doing, and they're going to make sure you understand all the numbers. They'll walk you through it. Sean and his team over at Guaranteed Rate will do just that. And if you're looking to refinance, could be a good time. He'll tell you if it is a good time. If it's not, you move on. He's helped one of our podcast listeners refinance their homes, and they absolutely loved the experience. He's also a big Kings fan, so that helps too. You can hit him up anytime, 916-276-7563. Trust me, he will respond. He texts me all the time. I haven't responded recently. Why? Because I've been busy, and I will get to Sean at some point. But you can hit him up at 916-276-7563. You can also go to his website, Morgan Reagan, rate.com/Sean Stanfield. Equal housing lender. Subject to credit approval. NMLS ID number 349707. Company NMLS ID number 2611. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Thanks so much to our friends over at
Guarantee.
Guarantee. Right.
Morgan, I hate to do this, but we just have to be honest because players aren't supposed to do this, right? You're not supposed to look at the standings. Take one game at a time.
We're doing that?
Let's take a look at the NBA standings. The Sacramento Kings right now, they're in the 10th spot. They are in the play-in spot. Yes, it is December, 8th, early December. Mm-hmm. Does that matter? No, but I'm just telling you, they're 11-14. They've won 3 in a row, and for everything that has gone wrong for this team right now, they're in the mix. And if you look, the team that they've just surpassed today, the Portland Trail Blazers, they've lost 4 in a row. CJ McCollum has a
collapsed lung,
which is frightening. Damian Lillard's trying to come back. They've got turmoil. You got Denver, who looks like they could be on a free fall. I know they won today. Dallas, Luka weighs 270 pounds whatever.
Fat shamer.
My point is they are a game and a half behind the 7th spot. They're 2 games from the 6th spot. They're 2.5 games from the 5th seed. Now, I'm not trying to sell you like everything's all good here, but my point is if there is a year in the West to actually make the playoffs. This is the year. The basketball gods have presented you a gift of a lifetime here, an opportunity of a lifetime. And that is to get in because you got Denver and Portland falling apart. You may be able to limp in here, right?
Well, that's the issue. Hopefully, if you're limping, you're not missing guys.
I know.
And because you know it's a long season. I'm not going to sit here and be like, but what if this guy gets injured on the Kings? And what if? I'm not going to do that. But at the same time, you understand how this physical game works and how things change over time. And
yes, obviously subject to injuries down the stretch.
This team is not good if anybody good gets injured on this squad.
Right.
That's the difference between some of these other teams. And that's my only point when I even look at the Portland Trailblazers. Just because you lose someone in CJ McCollum, you do have a guy named Dame Lillard who is better than any player on the Sacramento Kings. And that's where again, I sit here sometimes, if you want to call it pessimistic or if you too realistic, however you want to put it, that's how I look at it. But yes, you look at the standings right now, it is physically realistic possible, sure.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that that's the direction the team should go. But if they start playing better basketball,
yeah, if they play better defense, if they had a better defensive game against one of the worst offenses in the league.
Offenses?
I couldn't say offensives.
Are you okay?
No. Offenses. Why can't I say it? Offenses.
One of the worst offenses?
Offenses. What? The Orlando Magic with one of the worst offenses. What is happening with
offenses? Offenses! Can you just say offenses?
The Orlando Magic that has one of the worst offenses.
Oh my God. Let's give it up, Morgan Reagan.
Woo! Wow, my brain was just not connecting. You play this type of defense on a team that is that bad on offense, like the Orlando Magic, it gives me no hope that you're going to do that against some of these other squads.
Sure. Okay, but yes, I get that. You got to clean up the defense. You say that, but they also held the Clippers under 100 points last game. My whole point to this is with everything that's gone wrong for them, the West is just not as good as it is in previous years. That's reality. When
Facts.
The team that's in the 5th seed is 14-12.
Nuggets, everyone's dying. Yes.
Yes. So the big goal can't just be, again, what we've talked about in the past, which is, hey, just get in the playoffs and that's a good job. It's like, no, you want sustained success for sure. If this team can keep it going, we'll see. This road trip is going to be very interesting, right? You got a 3-game road trip coming up starting Friday against the Hornets. The Hornets that you put 140 points on and had a franchise record 22 threes on.
Oh, sure.
They could be without LaMelo Ball.
Let's go down the list.
Terry Rozier.
Yep.
Ish Smith.
Mm-hmm.
McDaniels. Am I missing one
Plumlee.
more? And Mason Plumlee.
Yep.
That's 5 guys right there, but they've been playing pretty well, even being shorthanded because they've got talent. Like Bridges has played really well. Oubre's had a big game. Like we know PJ Washington has gotten buckets on the Kings. He's put 40 on the Kings before. So that's still going to be a challenging game. So, I mean, Bojack's saying in the background, he goes, dudes, don't forget about Cleveland either on the back-to-back.
Thanks, Bo.
Thank you. They take on a Cavs team that you can go ahead and think, oh, it's Cleveland. They're not any good. They're pretty fun to watch. They play some nice defense. Evan Mobley has been fantastic this year. Jared Allen, they got Garland. Like that's it's been a sneaky fun team in the Eastern Conference. And then you take on a Raptors team that lost a heartbreaker tonight at home to Oklahoma City.
Ooh.
So
Scotty Barnes, top scoring rookie in the league.
Van Vliet, They just lost to the Thunder at home though.
They did.
Anyway,
It's gonna happen.
I just look at this road trip like, all right, we're gonna learn a lot. Like, let's see what they do. Let's see what they do Friday against a shorthanded team.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I feel like you have a little bit more trust in this King squad after winning these 3 in a row.
Oh, no. I don't know why you say that.
Because you it's not that you sound optimistic about this road trip, but you sound like you might have a little bit of expectations.
No, I'm saying you're going to learn about them. I don't know. I mean, they've won 3 in a row now. I think, what are they now with under Gentry? They're 5-3.
Yeah.
I think there's some encouraging signs. One being that like Terrence Davis is hitting some shots now. Marvin Bagley's playing better. Fox looks like he's getting it going in the right direction. Like Harrison Barnes is back. Like there are things that look like it's going in the Kings' favor a little bit, and the rest of the West isn't what it used to be, and there are teams that are injured too. So factoring all that in, I'm like, okay, there's an opportunity here. They still need to improve the roster. They still need to answer some tough questions about this core. We know all this stuff, but like I'm not going to ignore like some of the good. There's definitely reason to be concerned. Like that 5-3 stretch includes a loss to a Sixers team that was extremely shorthanded. They got destroyed at home by the Lakers, right? After a good first half, and they got absolutely destroyed by Memphis without John Morant. So there's been bad in that too. I'm not saying like the last road trip where I'm like, they should go 3-1. I'm not telling you what they should go on this. I mean,
Deal.
But like there is opportunity here. You're taking on a shorthanded team. You're taking on a Raptors team that's been up and down. And then the Cavs one's going to be tough on a second night of a back-to-back. But look, if you want to be a legit team and you want to really be in the thick of things, you're going to have to start winning some of these games. I'm more concerned, honestly, with getting it going at home, because the home record's been disappointing.
In which those back-to-back home wins against the Clippers and now tonight against the Magic, it's a start. It's a start,
right.
But I don't sit here and go, they've turned things around at home.
They're 5-8 at home. They're 6-6 on the road, which is crazy because their 6-6 road record. I mean, they've got more road wins than the Clippers, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the T-Wolves, just in the West right there. So
pretty crazy.
Anyway, those are our first thoughts on the Kings' 142-130 win over the Magic.